Hare Krishna, good evening. We start chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter part 1. This is previous to the last chapter, to the last lecture at least. I would like to divide it in two parts because there are too many slokas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 18 is called Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. Well, it's a conclusion, yes. It's the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it concludes basically everything in short. And especially there is a stress to renunciation and how to get beyond the three modes of nature and come to the transcendental platform. That's the like final stage of development. So Arjuna starts asking a question. Arjuna vacha sannyasya mahabaho tattvamichami veditu yagasya cha hrishikesha prityakeshi nishudana. Arjuna said, Almighty Armed One, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyas. O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. Yes, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he talks about different chapters and what was said in those chapters. And he brings us ultimately to the understanding of this last chapter. And he says, the purpose of life is indicated to be renunciation and attainment of the transcendental position above the three modes of nature. Arjuna wants to clarify the two distinct subject matters of Bhagavad Gita, namely renunciation, tyaga, and the renounced order of life, sannyasa. Thus, he is asking the meaning of these two words. You see, Arjuna wanted to take sannyas, basically. He wanted to adopt a life of a sannyasi, a renounced person who goes to the forest and lives in the forest and gives up all mundane or social duties. So he wanted to do that. So he wants to know what's the difference between being sannyasi and not being attached, in other words, being renounced, tyaga. So this is a little bit difficult to understand, isn't it? But so, in other words, you can still be renounced while doing work, doing your prescribed duties. While if you want to be a sannyasi, then you should not be doing so many things. At least you should do things prescribed for a sannyasi order of life. So Arjuna wanted to become a sannyasi, basically, begging food, living alone, living in the forest, and so on. On the other hand, he was a kshatriya. He was a kingly order. He was a member of the royal family. So he wasn't supposed to do that. So, but how could he become renounced anyway? So, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam, Sannyasam Kavayo Vidu, Sarva Karma Phalatyagam, Prahus Tyagam Vichakshina. Supreme Personality Godhead said that giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa, and giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. So if you are a sannyasi in a renounced order of life, you don't do any activities based on material desire. This is what the great learned men call sannyas. So you don't want any gain, anything materially motivated. But if you renounce the results of all activities, so you don't renounce the activity, but you renounce the results of it. So wise men call such thing renunciation, tyaga. See, in other words, you can perform your duty, but if you are not attached to the results, and if you give it up, give them up, so you are actually renounced, even though you don't take sannyas. See. Tyajam doshavadi teke karma prahur manishina yagyadana tava karma tatyajam iti chapare. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. So there are two kinds of people. The one who says that all kinds of fruitive activity, I mean, these are designed for the fruits, should be abandoned because they are all faulty, they are all wrong. But on the other hand, there are others who say that sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be stopped. So let's see. Just like Srila Prabhupada talks about killing the animals at sacrifice. Normally, killing the animals is not allowed and it's very bad. But if you perform Vedic sacrifice, not nowadays, it was many, many years ago in old ages. Um, so at Rajasuya sacrifice or other sacrifices like that, you could sacrifice an animal, but because of the power of Vedic mantras, they would get the new life basically immediately. So if you can do that, then it's okay killing animal because you are giving new life immediately. So if you cannot do that, then don't kill the animal. Yeah, in other words, this is an act of sacrifice, isn't it? You perform Vedic yagya for the satisfaction of the supreme and demigods and so on. So you would do the activity which normally is not good, but because it's done in a different purpose. Nishchayan shinume tatra tyage parita sattama tyago hi purusha vyakra trivitha samprakirtita. O best of the Varjas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. Now, renunciation, tyaga. So Krishna actually, he doesn't really explain what it is, just explain three kinds of them, according to modes of nature. So it's like easier to understand what kind of renunciation is the right one. Yagyadanatava karma hatyajyam karyam evatat yagyodanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed indeed. Sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Yes, Srila Prabhupada talks about in this purport, Vivaha Yagya. Sannyasi is not supposed to do any activity, but for the sake of his students, he can perform marriage ceremony, Vivaha Yagya, because marriage ceremony is will purify those two. I mean, couple, help them in spiritual life actually. So to get into regulated household life. So normally sannyasi should not associate with women at all, but he can perform vivaha yagya, marriage ceremony, not because of his own sake, but because of the sake of others. So it's good to do things like that. And because all these kind of sacrifices are meant for the couple to achieve the Supreme Lord, that's why it's important. Etanya pi tu karmani sangyam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani time vartha nishchita matamuttamam. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty or sanuprita. That is my final opinion. Yes, as a matter of duty, I think you remember we talked about it when Krishna describes different things like charity and austerity and penance in different modes. He always talks about performed as a matter of duty. This is always goodness. It's always a very good thing. Prescribed niyatasya tu sannyasa karmano napapadyate muhatasya parityagas tamasa parikirtita. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is called to be in the mode of ignorance. You see, it's prescribed duties should never be renounced, says Krishna. You have to do that. And if you renounce, if you don't do your prescribed duty because of illusion, because you are wrong, because you misunderstand something, then it is in the mode of ignorance. So he tells Arjuna that you want to renounce your prescribed duty, so you are in ignorance. So this is not good. Tukhamite vayat karma kaya klesha payat tjit sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga palam lapit. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation or renunciation. Again, if you prescribe, give up the duties because they are troublesome or you are afraid, so you don't want any discomfort, any trouble. So if you do renounce, first was because you renounce because of illusion, and this is ignorance. Then here, you don't want to cause yourself any pain or discomfort. Then this is in the mode of patience, this kind of renunciation. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. In other words, you have to do something, but you don't want to do it because, oh, it's too cold, or it's too hot, or it's too hard, or something. You will never become elevated. So you have to do it anyway. So that's the point. Karyami tyeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagat satviko mata. Or Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done, and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. So, if you perform, you don't renounce, but you perform your prescribed duty because it should be done like that. And you renounce, on the other side, all material association and attachment to fruit. This is in the goodness. This is in the mode of goodness. So you don't renounce the work or duty. You renounce material association and the fruit, attachment to the fruit. See? Prescribed duties must be performed with this mentality. One should act without attachment to the result. He should be dissociated with the modes of work. A man working in Krishna consciousness in a factory doesn't associate himself with the work of the factory nor with the workers of the factory. He simply works for Krishna. And when he gives up the result for Krishna, he's acting transparently. So Prabhupada would say to his disciples in the beginning, they wanted to give up jobs, but Prabhupada would say, no, 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 you should not give up your job. You should perform your job, go to the job and give the salary for maintenance of the temple. So, Adveshtiya kushalam karma kushale nanushajate tyagi sattva samavishto vidhavi china samshaya. The intelligent renouncer situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubt about work. He doesn't think that this work is nice or that this is not nice or something. If he has to do that, he is doing it. And he's not very much attached to one or the other. So this is very, and such a person doesn't have any doubts about work. He just does it without much discussion. This is an intelligent renouncer. Tahi deha prita shakyam tyaktum karmanya sheshata yastu karma phalatyagi syatyagi tyapitiyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied living being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. See, you can never stop doing things. It's impossible, he says, to give up activity for the embodied being. If you are born, you have to perform something, do something, but you have to renounce the fruits of the action. So then you are truly renounced. That's the point. I mean, renunciation means doesn't mean don't do anything. You should not be attached to the fruits. Anishta mishta mishram cha trivitham karmana palam pavatya tya kinam pritya ratu sanyasinam kvachit. For one who is not renounced, the threefold results of action, threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to enjoy or suffer. In other words, those who are attached to the fruits, either they get some good results out of it, undesirable results, or mixed ones. In other words, you get the reactions of your work. You always will get the reactions. Krishna says here, they will come after your death. I mean, because it takes time to fructify. So, but those who are not, so who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to enjoy or suffer. So, yeah. So this is like becoming freed of karma. This is how we do that. Don't get attached to the results. Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibothame sankhya krishante proktani sithaya sarvakarmanam. Almighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of this from me. So, any action has to have 5 causes. So let's listen to it. Adhishtanam tatha karta karanam cha pritagvitam vivithascha pritak chesta daivam chayavatra panchamam. The place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action. The body, somewhere you have to perform it. I mean, the body needs to be there. Performer, the soul, the senses. Senses are like instruments how to perform actions. Many different kinds of endeavor. So endeavor itself, and ultimately the super soul. These 5 factors are necessary to perform an action. Shariravan manopiryat karma pararabhate naraha vyayam na viparitam. Sorry. Nyayam va viparitam va panchete tasya hetava. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. In other words, everything, good or bad, right or wrong, by body, mind, or speech, are performed by these 5 factors. Tatraivam satikartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pashyatya krita bhutitvam nasa pashyati durmati. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. In other words, if you think that you are the only one who performs this action, so you are not thinking right, because you are one of them. You are the performer, and you need all 4 other factors as well. Yasya naha krito bhavo buddhir yasya nalipyate Hatvapi sa imalokan nahanti na nibatyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, doesn't kill, nor is he bound by his actions. So if you are not motivated when you do something, and if you are not acting motivation by false ego, your intelligence is not entangled. You may kill people in this world, but you are not a killer actually, and nor are you bound by action. I mean, Krishna talks about Arjuna here. He tells him that if you kill, you are not a killer and you are not bound. So he doesn't talk to us. He talks to Arjuna, of course, because he specifically talks about killing. We don't have to kill anyone, of course, but Arjuna had to. So he says that, well, in this way, he tells him that if you kill, you are not a killer anyway. So don't worry about killing, and you won't get implicated in your karma by doing so. Kyanam geyam parigata trivitha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trivitha karma sangraha. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower and are the three factors that motivate actions. Action. Senses, the work, and the doer are the three constituents of action. So knowledge, object of knowledge, and the knower, yes, are the three factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the three constituents of action. In other words, knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower, they are actually motivating factors of action. But action itself constitutes of senses, because senses need to perform something. The senses are doing the action, the work and the doer. Yeah, yes. It's kind of a complicated thing, of course. So you have to really think about it, and yeah. Kyanam karma chakartacha trithaiva guna pedata prochate guna sankhyante yathavat srinutanyapi. According to the three different modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge, action, and performer of action. Now hear of them from me. Sarvabhuteshu yenaikam bhavan avyayam ikshate avipaktam vipakteshu tachjnana vitti sattvikam. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. So, the knowledge. If you see one undivided spiritual nature, if you see everyone has the same quality in every living entity, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you don't see that everything is just one. You see the same in the undivided Brahman, but in different bodily forms. So your knowledge is in the mode of goodness. Pridaktvena tuyat jnanam nana bhavan pritagvitan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tat jnanam viti rajasam. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. So if you see that, we're all different, you see different bodies, but you also think that all these different living entities are different from each other. They don't have anything to do with each other. They don't have anything common. So then you are in the mode of passion. While if you see that, of course, these living entities have different bodies, but if you see that, for example, have you, have you noticed how small insects, almost they are talking to you as if, they are reacting when you come close to them. They are afraid, they run away. I mean, just incredible. It's almost like you feel their consciousness, isn't it? So, and you know that, you know, the same spirit soul, the same kind of spirit soul is in the body of, birds and beasts and insects, whatever, worms and everything. So you understand it, right? But if you think, oh, kill them, they are just abominable. This is nonsense. This is actually rajas. Yastu kritsna vadekasmin kare saktam ahaitukam atat partha vad alpamcha tat tamasamudahritam. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Yeah. So if you don't understand anything about the truth and you just do one thing and that's all and don't care about anything, so yeah, it's animalistic life basically. Niyatam sangarahitam araga dveshata kritam aphala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchate. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitive results is said to be in the mode of goodness. Now actions, different actions. It was knowledge just before. Then was renunciation, knowledge, now action. So if you do action which is regulated, regulated means that it is prescribed in the scriptures, and you know how to do it. You don't do it whimsically. Performed without attachment, without love or hatred. This is important because if you're too much attached to something, love too much a specific action, no, you just do it because it's your duty. Without love or hatred, that's what Krishna says. And without desire for fruitful results, you don't want anything in return. So this is in the mode of goodness. Yatu kam me psuna karma sahankarena vapuna kriyate bahulaya samtad rajasam udahritam. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and elected from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. If you do something with great effort, if something requires a lot of effort to satisfy your senses and desires, and elected from a sense of false ego, you see, the wrong things. So it's a passion, it's a mode of passion. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapiksha chapaurusham muhad arapyate karma yattat tamasam uchite. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for fruitive bondage, or for violence or desire caused to others, or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Illusion, disregard of scriptural injunctions, you don't care about whether you get future bondage because of that. And you do it as a violence or distress to cause others. So this is ignorance. Mukta sango nahamvadi tritutsaha samanvida sita sitor niva nirvikara karta satvika uchate. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without favoring in success or failure, is said to be working in the mode of goodness. Ragi karma phala prepsur bulupto himsatmako suchihim harsha shokan vita karta rajasa parikirtita. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, being pure and moved by joy and sorrow, said to be in the mode of passion. So now the worker is, well, the verse before was about the worker as well. And finally, worker in ignorance, yukta prakrita stapta shachto naishkritiko lasa Vishadi Dirka Sutricha Karta Tamasa Uchite. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others. All the good qualities. And who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. A lazy ones, and doing things, dragging, and always morose, in bad mood. So this is all ignorance. Bhutarpedam Triteschaiva Gunata Strivitam Shrinu Pruchyamana Masheshena Pritaktmena Tananjaya. O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature. Now, as understanding and determination, he will talk about. Pravritim cha nivritim cha karya kare paya paye bandha moksham chayu yavati puti sa bharta satviki. Asanuprita, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. It's pretty clear. Yasya dharmam adharmam cha karyam eva cha ayathavat prajanati bhuti sapartha rajasi. Asanuprita, this understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. Yes, it cannot distinguish between what is right, wrong, what is religion, what is irreligion. So this is passion. See about ignorance now. Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha bhuti saparthatamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction of pritpartha is in the mode of ignorance. Now you think that religion is irreligion and the other vice versa. So this is actually the mode of ignorance. Trityaya yatharayate mana pranindriya kriya yogena vyapicarinya triti sapartha satviki. Asanoprita, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. So, if you are fixed, are unbreakable in your determination, and if you are very steadfast by yoga practice, you have the strength, and you can control by that the mind, life, and senses. So this is in the goodness. Yastu dharma kamartha. Yastu yatu dharma kamarthan tritya dhara yate juna prasangena palakankshi triti sa partha rajasi. By that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion or Arjuna. So if you're determined to, hold fast in to the fruitive results of religion, economic development, and so on, you are in the passion. Ya swapnam payam shokam vishadam mandam evacha na vimunchati durmeta triti sapartha tamasi. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination of Sanaprita is in the mode of darkness. Yeah, if you cannot overcome all these bad things like dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, illusion, and so on, so you have no determination, basically. It's in determination in the mode of darkness. I think I would stop here and we can take the rest in 3 days. What do you think? Is it okay? Do you have any questions or any comments? Not really. Okay, then I will stop here and we can continue the last part of this chapter on Thursday. Hare Krishna. Luca, Haribol, can you hear me?
Isha Mataji, are you here?